With the way the internet and my life have been going lately, I've been doing a lot of reflecting on what the heck it is I'm doing on the internet and with my art journey. And you may be feeling similarly, which is maybe why you clicked on this video. Between ever-changing algorithms, extreme consumerism, the increasing prevalence of AI, and the fact that we are more connected than ever, but also probably feeling more disconnected than ever, it's hard to remember exactly what the point of all of this is. Hi, for those who don't know, I am MHAG's Art, and I work a full-time job that is outside of the art field. But in the past, I have dabbled with making money from art through either commissions or art markets. Now I mainly focus on YouTube and Instagram, although I do not make money from either of those. And for a long time, I aspired to be a full-time artist / content creator. But lately, to be honest, I don't know how true that is anymore. In this video, I'm going to discuss some reasons why I think that being a full-time artist online might actually be overrated, or at least not the path that is meant for everyone. And at the end, I'm going to give some personal updates on why I'm feeling this way lately. There are ways to make art, achieve your artistic goals, or even be a full-time artist without having to be chronically online. This is my disclaimer that I do not think that being a full-time artist is overrated at all. There's a difference between being a full-time artist and being a full-time artist online. This video is specifically about being a full-time artist online. A lot of focus nowadays, I just feel like, is on artists who make most of their money or their presence known by being on social media, which I understand is very much a needed thing that you feel nowadays, that you have to be very present online. But as I said before, with all the things that just feel wrong about the internet and social media, everything that's so frustrating about it, so isolating about it, I think it's important for artists to ask themselves, like, are these things really worth it for them in order to pursue this career? I'm going to talk about some things that you can consider or ask yourself in order to figure that out for yourself. I know that I had to go through this recently, just with all my personal life changes and the way that my life has been looking lately. It's been making me reflect and reconsider of how realistic this path is for myself. This may or may not get a little depressing. I'm just giving you all a heads up because I know I low-key have been falling down this rabbit hole, and I just feel like it's been a big conversation online lately in terms of AI, in terms of just the way that the internet is going, with all of these changes. TikTok included, even though I don't use TikTok, it just can feel a little depressing, and I acknowledge that and I apologize, but truly I don't think we can have this conversation without going there and just being real about it. So therefore this video is a little bit of me giving a reality check and a little tough love about the situation, because I know that's what I needed to hear recently, and so maybe I can be that for you. When you become a full-time artist because you are passionate about art but not social media, your income is still now tied to that if you are a full-time artist online. Your income is tied to your passion as opposed to you being passionate about your job. I love my job, but I wouldn't do it if I didn't get paid. On the flip side, I love doing art, and I do it without getting paid. So see the difference? You may think, oh, I'm doing art full time finally, I'm doing what I love, it makes me happy. But if a large part of your job is posting on social media and managing social media accounts, but you don't enjoy that, that is not going to make you happy. You're probably going to hate then a large portion of your job. And if the whole point of you pursuing art is so that you're doing what you're passionate about, again, that's when you have to ask yourself, is this worth it? Is this really what I wanted? Odds are that managing social media and posting and all that behind the scenes admin type stuff might actually take more time than creating art. I've seen a growing trend of full-time artists, all level of artists honestly, going through different struggles in terms of this. Sometimes they even just completely ghost and never post again, and we never hear from them again, which is also like kind of sad. And if they do say something, a lot of them state that the reason being either their mental health struggles or the ever-changing algorithm and trying to keep up with this demand of social media. And also, I think those two things are inherently connected. The algorithm and your constant need to have to supply things to it probably negatively affects your mental health. And I think that has negatively affected a lot of artists, even the ones who are doing it full time. And we'll talk about it pretty transparently, which I always appreciate, because again, these are the things that we should all be considering before we try everything in our power to pursue this path. Then there's a whole conversation to be had about whether you actually need to be a full-time artist. And yes, of course, this is, again, mainly a video about being a full-time artist online. But I think a lot of more people need to consider whether full-time art is even for them in general. Do you have passion projects or things that you want to accomplish that you could do without having to be a full-time artist? You can have your day job, and that's what supports you in your dream of being a full-time artist. Would you be happy enough doing that? Do you have to do it full-time? Does your whole livelihood have to be connected to it, or can it be something that you pursue on the side? And just because you maybe don't become a full-time content creator, artist person online, doesn't mean you can't do that part-time or as a hobby, because more likely you'll have fun doing it that way. If you're, again, tying your entire income, your entire job and career to this thing, you're probably not going to enjoy it very much. There's this cliche that when you do what you love, you don't work a day in your life. I don't think that's true for anyone. I think even if you achieve your ultimate dream, it is still work, because you have to put in the work, right? You have to put in the effort and the time. I say all this to hopefully try to see less and less burnt out artists. I think that's just what makes me really sad about the landscape of social media and the art community right now, is that everyone just seems so burnt out and sad, and like we are all just losing that drive, and we've lost sight of what it is that makes us love making art. But it just makes me really sad to see, because I know that's not how it always was. I really just want to see less burnt out artists and more art in the world. And if that means that less people should pursue doing full-time art online, then maybe that's part of the solution. And I'm in no way trying to discourage people from going after their dreams. Like, if being a full-time artist online is your dream, go for it. Art is absolutely worth pursuing no matter what, but that doesn't mean that you have to do it full-time or mainly online. This is my reminder in my reality check that if you don't enjoy social media now, you're probably not going to enjoy it when you do it full-time and for a job. You may think you're working for yourself, but you're actually working for a computer. And right now, that computer is run completely by crappy algorithms and AI. Now, this is not a video about AI, and I know everyone has their own opinions and they're entitled to them, I guess, even though some of them are definitely wrong. But unfortunately, we just can't talk about the state of the internet right now without talking about AI. Sam does arts. He did one called Pinterest is Dead. And then Drew Gooden did one on AI is ruining YouTube. And I will link both of those videos in the description below if you want to check them out. I highly recommend if you want to learn more about how AI is ruining social media and the internet and things. But basically, they described the feeling that I've been having for years, and I think many of us have been having for years, which is that the internet kind of sucks now. So basically, the long story short, if you don't want to watch those videos, or if you're not aware, that AI is taking over the internet, including social media. This is my PSA, is just to please be careful what you consume nowadays. Unfortunately, this is just another responsibility that's going to fall on the consumer, which is us, that we have to take a few seconds every time we're looking at something, and this is only going to keep happening, to make sure that it's not AI generated. The reason you want to be careful about making sure that what you're looking at is not AI generated is so that you're not accidentally comparing yourself to something that is literally fake. So whether it's art, whether it's an art studio, whatever, just take a few seconds and look at it, especially if you're on Pinterest. Pinterest is like overrun by AI right now, and pretty soon every other platform is just going to be the same exact way. The thumbnail of this video, those are AI generated art studios. So you may not have known that first looking at them, but when you really look at them, you're like, oh yeah, that girl's hand is messed up, or her leg doesn't go anywhere, or the chair leg doesn't go anywhere, or the line for the lamp is crooked, like things like this. But if you glance at things really quick, you're never gonna spot that. And that's why AI is so scary, right? But you also don't want to compare yourself to that, because you're literally comparing yourself to unrealistic expectations. And that's what I wanted to share today, and what I want folks to be aware of, so that they aren't unconsciously doing that. Because as people who work part-time in art, or are trying to pursue art full-time in whatever capacity we like, it's really hard not to compare yourself, right? Like, you're comparing yourself to people on the internet all the time, because that is your goal, right? You're trying to get there. So it's hard not to compare yourself to those people who are already doing it and have these beautiful studios who are posting new art every day. And if you want to hear me kind of babble more about that, I can link my How to Balance Art in Your Full-Time Job video above if you are interested. And suppose you figure out that an image is not AI. The next question you need to ask yourself is, does that person do this full time? Do they get to make a living by being an artist? And in that way, they have more of an incentive to post and maintain this beautiful studio space that's always clean and tidy. Like, we all know that's not reality. And when you're comparing yourself to all these things, whether it's real people or AI, and you're letting it negatively affect you, so that then you aren't feeling as inspired to create, you're just feeling like, what's the point? Because how sad is it to have something like an app on a phone prevent us from creating? Perhaps after considering these points about working for a computer, AI taking over, consumerism, all the other things that I've said because I've been babbling a lot, you're still interested in pursuing a career as a full-time artist online. Despite all the arguments I've made against it, I truly still think that it is a valid pursuit and career option. No judgment, no matter what you decide, but I bring up all these harsh realities of what it would be like to be a full-time artist online. Again, I've never been that, so I can't actually speak to the experience. This is just from me watching people through their full-time art journeys online, or surmising from myself being a person who is present online as an artist, and just knowing what that would be amplified to the point of, oh, if I had to do this every single day for a job, then yeah, would this get old? But no matter what you decide to do, no judgment. But I bring up all these harsh realities so that you can take a pragmatic look at whether these things are worth it for you in your journey. If you are considering still being an artist full-time online, you may be wondering, what hope do we have? Honestly, the answer may be none or very little. But there's a difference between having hope that you'll make it as a full-time artist online and having hope that the internet will change, or at least anytime soon. You can have hope that you'll make it as a full-time artist online if that is really what you want and you take the steps to achieve that goal. If you're hoping to make it as a full-time artist online in the way that social media was a few years ago, then that's when you're wasting your time. Point blank. Just make sure that you're actually having realistic expectations about your dreams of being a full-time artist online with the current state of the internet. And again, the fact that it might not and probably will not change anytime soon. You can dream of publishing like a webcomic one day. That doesn't mean that it has to be your full-time job in order to make that happen. You could dream of publishing a children's book one day. Again, doesn't mean that you have to be an artist online to do that. Your dreams don't have to just be related to your job. Like, this can be part-time, this can be a hobby, this can be a passion project. I think we really need to stop talking about our dreams and our aspirations as if they're only related to career or like having a family. You can have a dream of creating a graphic novel, and maybe that means no one ever sees it. That's okay. You finished it. You did it. You made it. And that was your dream and you accomplished it. And that's really what's important at the end of the day. So hopefully any of that made sense. I apologize if it was kind of all over the place. This is the first time that I've like written a full script like this, but also still tried to like look at the camera. So I had a little difficulty, but tried my best. And now I'm just gonna go into the personal updates. So if you're interested, I took some time away from YouTube last year around August, and then I've created, I think, like 1 or 2 videos since then. And I thought I was gonna come back to it, but I ended up needing a much longer break than I thought. And I can kind of talk about what was going on. So the first reason, and this is just something that I've been wanting to share with you all for a while, is that back in August, my mom passed away. So my mom passed away from early onset Alzheimer's. She was only 64 years old. It's a really terrible, sad disease. And my mom was my biggest cheerleader, honestly. She loved my art, always loved to see me out drawing and painting. I just remember we had this table in our downstairs where I would do my art the last few years that I lived with them in my like early mid-20s. And she would walk by and stop and look at what I was drawing or painting at the time, and was always so supportive of my art and my art journey and just my creativity in general. And even video making, she was the one to tell me I should major in communications. So I actually think talking about my mom in this way in a video is a great way to honor her memory, because I think she'd be really proud of the fact that I'm making so many videos still, and that I'm making art despite that maybe it's not connected to my career, that I'm still doing it for me and the passion that I have for it. Because of her cognitive decline the last few years, I think I've been making YouTube videos for like 3 or 4 years now, which is wild. She never got to watch any of my videos, which is sad, but I know she'd definitely be proud. So this is in a way to honor her too. So that was the first big reason and big life thing that happened, obviously, and very much affected me. And one of the big ways that it affected me was I already have and struggle with depression, but it definitely got worse during this period, just from my mom passing, and then I had a lot of life transitions. So then I think it all led to burnout. I was very burnt out from the job I had prior, and then just taking care of my mom, being there for my family, like all this stuff for years. You know, it just came to an end, for better or for worse, and then I think I was just exhausted, truly. Yeah. And in that, I lost a lot of the drive and inspiration to do YouTube, to make art in general. Haven't been making a ton of art, and I'm trying to be okay with it. I'm trying to take my own advice, because I know I've said this in the full-time balance art video, which is that it's okay to go through phases, and you're gonna have lulls in your life where you're not making art, or you're not as inspired, or there's just too much going on, and it's kind of been all of the above. So I took about 2 months off after my mom passed away from YouTube, because I was trying to do a bi-weekly YouTube schedule back then. And then I fully expected to go back to the bi-weekly upload schedule after that, which, looking back, was way too much expectation for myself. I think I maybe could have handled trying to do a monthly upload after that, if I, again, maybe also given myself a little bit more time. But just the idea of trying to get back to a video every 2 weeks in the middle of also, again, a bunch of life transition and change, and struggling with depression, all this stuff, did not end up happening. The reason I thought it was appropriate for me to also give all these personal updates in this video in particular is because this is the stuff that you don't see online, right? Like, I've still been posting somewhat consistently over on Instagram. I posted a video on YouTube in the time since my mom passed and all this other stuff. But everyone has life happening behind the scenes of all of these videos, of all of these Instagram posts, of all these TikToks. So just keep that in mind, because you have a life going on. So when you are just so tired or unmotivated or uninspired, or you just have too much going on, or you just had a really traumatic life event, whatever it may be, it doesn't even have to be that extreme. If you're just focusing on other things in your life, that is okay. The internet will always be there, unfortunately or fortunately. When you have a major loss like this, and I'm sure anyone else who's experienced something like this can relate, it really just puts things in perspective. Something I'm taking into 2025 is it's okay to have like ups and downs, twists and turns with your journey, with your career, with your goals, with where you want to go. I used to want to be a full-time artist, content creator. Right now, because of everything I'm going through, I don't think that would be good for me, actually. I don't think it would be good for me to have my income tied to this, because I am not feeling the best or the most inspired to do all of this right now. And that, again, is okay, right? Sometimes you'll be really motivated and want to crank out a bunch of stuff, and sometimes you won't, because, again, you have stuff going on in your life, in your head, in your heart. So I say don't fight it. Just go with where you need to be right now. And I think that's how I'm feeling, and really trying to reassure myself. You know, I worry about things like, oh, my audience, I'm slowly building an audience here, which is so exciting. I just hit 1,000 subscribers, and I'm literally still so blown away and thankful for that. Especially given everything that's been going on, and I would be lying if there's not a little part of me in the back of my head that's like, you gotta get a video out quick. You just got a bunch of new subscribers, and you gotta keep just going, because that's what the people are expecting. That's what they want. If you want to keep them, they're like, so I wish that wasn't how my brain was working, but unfortunately, it's part of it. It definitely is happening. So I'm doing my best to reassure myself, fight against it, give myself some grace. But I think going forward, I am excited to head in a direction I think that feels the most authentic to me as an artist, me for where I'm at right now in my life. I think prior, I was trying to fit the idea of what I thought a full-time artist, content creator person looked like, or the things that I was seeing that I wanted to emulate and be. And I still enjoy YouTube. It's probably the platform I enjoy the most, even though I was really struggling with it the last few months, especially just like the way, again, that freaking Instagram and Pinterest and all these other things like are heading, and I just really don't care for it, honestly. So even though it might not be good timing right now for me, definitely not saying I wouldn't love to make a living doing this one day. Yeah, I'm hoping to come out of this feeling a little more inspired, ready to move forward, but also not put a ton of pressure on myself, also not feel like I'm just sliding back into the grind and doing it for the sake of doing it. Like, I want to make videos that I actually feel passionate about and feel true to me and who I am as an artist in my journey, sharing my thoughts and feelings, because maybe that helps you all. I love the community that I've been able to build, and the folks that I've met through my videos and having in the comment section and stuff like that. Thank you all for listening and making it this far, if you have. And I hope I've given you some things to think about. I hope I've given you some ways to go easy on yourself and not put so much pressure on yourself to have to fit this mold of what we think being a full-time artist is or looks like, whether that's having to post and whatever online constantly. Maybe that's not it for you, and that's okay. Or maybe not even being a full-time artist is for you, and that's okay. Because again, it can change eventually. You can be at a point in your life where that feels like the right path for you at some point. But if that is not how you feel right now, that is okay. Do not feel bad about that. That's how I'm feeling. If you like videos like this, you might like my other stuff. I do art, bullet journaling. I've done some vlogs, art vlogs in the past, and in the future, it's gonna be art related, maybe some journaling, maybe some gaming. Foreshadow, foreshadow. Again, thank you so much for watching. I would love to hear your thoughts and your stories if you are willing to share them in the comments. If you have anything that you have thought about in your art journey, whether it's online or not, would love to hear about it and connect with you all, so you can leave a comment. And the other cliche YouTube things. If you like the video, you can like the video. If you want to see more like this, you can subscribe and support me on my journey. I would love and appreciate that very, very much. And I guess that's it. Remember to be easy on yourself and take care until next time. Thanks.